So Sammy brought this up to me. I didn't even know. I wanted to move on finally to speak about, I guess, the greatest goaltender Montreal's ever had, and one of the greatest in the league. Man, the first thing I thought of when he told me this. Man, we're fucking old. He made his debut 38 years ago. I still grew up watching him. It's like crazy. Patrick Roy
We,
made his debut today, 38 years ago. Fucking insane. I remember from the cup he wins. Actually, I remember more obviously of Colorado's cup than our own. We're still young back then. Chris, you were just a baby.
Yeah, the baby.
But man, 38 years, Patrick Roy. I don't know.
we're
That's
getting old, man. It's as
no.
simple as that.
I know. Do you guys have any fond memories of him? Anything
Yeah.
you remember of him that he's done for Montreal? I mean, for me, it's always
Yeah.
the wink.
Me
For me,
too.
it's always the wink or the famous Detroit game.
Mine's the Detroit game because I remember it like vividly. I was watching it at my grandparents' basement, and I remember like I was young at that point. But how old are we at this point? We're like in elementary school, right?
With
Uh,
Detroit?
yeah, it was like
Yeah, we
90
were in
what
elementary school.
95
95,
no,
yeah.
yeah. So I remember watching it and I'm like, wow. It's like one, I was pissed that the score was like that high that we were losing. What was the score that game, like 9 something or whatever
9-1.
it was?
At the
Yeah,
time he mentioned,
at
but
the
it ended up
time
being over 11, I think
11.
11,
Yeah, I
right?
remember my grandfather was like, "Fuck, what a joke! Like this is," and and then seeing Roy fucking raise his hands, and then like what happened afterwards, him leaving the team, asking for the trade. That's what I remember, unfortunately. And then I remember him being so dominant once he was in Colorado. Uh, you know, those
Two
playoffs in
cups?
It was
those playoffs
basically
in Colorado, no goals were going in, bro. It was like
Two
he even
cups,
said he's
yeah.
like no goals are going in, and he was fucking right.
You always loved
And
him, Zook. You wanted him before Kent Hughes. You were like
I would have
Pierre
loved
Roy
him
after Bergevin.
I would have loved him as a coach for sure, and as a GM, both
I'm glad we had him
double
already.
double role. But I'm glad what we have now. Yeah.
Biggest regret in Habs history, guys, about trading him?
Well,
yeah. It's top two at the very least. Top
I
two.
blame the management. That Reggie Hull or whatever his name was.
They need to get rid of him. For me,
Everyone,
anyways.
even Mario Tremblay as a coach. I'm sorry, I love RDS. Don't get me wrong, Bell Media, but get rid of Mario Tremblay. That guy looks like he smashed. His nose is as red as a fucking reindeer's nose, like in the middle of winter. He's drinking.
He's still drinking
Sometimes
now as we're talking.
he's smashed as we speak, and hopefully we meet him one day. But get rid of him. To me that was like the vision of like the demise of the Canadians is that face. Him and Réjean Hull in back of the fucking bench. What a face. And then Ronald Corey, that other brilliant fucking genius. Like
Mhm.
that was like the demise. See, the last fucking 20 years has been shit because of him. or
And
more. Or
It's
25 years, whatever.
you know when there's a fire, and I think Bergevin just added more to it when he came in.
Yeah, it was like fucking purgatory. Like we were stuck in that fucking bullshit. And then all the reoccurring rehires. Like, what is that? Like, we were in a mess. Now, thank God, finally we have like this breeze of cold, fresh air that's coming in. You could finally breathe. You could see the light at the end of the tunnel, or some sort
It's
of
like you just get out
success
of your
that's gonna
house and
come.
just go.
Oh, there you go.
Fresh air.
Instead of being stuck in a basement,
Chris,
that's where the Habs were. Anyways.
I seriously think, and I don't know if it's a curse or whatnot, but I seriously think that the Patrick Roy trade was what led the
There you go.
Montreal Canadiens to the dark ages. I mean, look, since he's gone, we have not won once, and it's funny when they jokingly made that commercial of whatever the like equivalent of Uber Eats or whatever the hell they were ordering
Yeah.
food. That
Yeah. It
commercial, him and Mario
was Uber
Tremblay.
Eats.
It's funny enough, the Canadians are making it back to the finals. Like the closest that they came to reconciling their differences and making up for that trade was the closest that we ever got to the cup since then. But I mean, it's just what that trade symbolizes for the Montreal Canadiens. Like we gave them away for next to nothing.
Oh
You
my
could have
God.
again rebuilt the whole team. Like okay, you're pissed off. You want to trade him. Fine, you could get the moon and the stars for this guy, and we could have stayed competitive and we could have continued. But in that moment, and I think as much as it's one of the reasons that Montreal is such an amazing hockey city and the hockey mecca, Ryan O'Reilly, is because the passion that we have over here and the pride that we have, like it's unparalleled. Everybody, like you think about it, just about everybody knows hockey in and out, and they you know they have, I don't want to, there's no sense of entitlement, but they've been exposed to it their whole lives. And like I can imagine Patrick Roy, if you want to take a moment to reflect on that thing, he's, you humiliated me, I've done nothing but good for you, fuck you. And then the other guys, the old vets like Tremblay, was behind the bench saying, no, this little shit needs a lesson. And again, a whole question of pride and emotion and passion of the Montreal market led to that trade, in my humble opinion. But man, oh man, did it set us back, and it's just fucking
The
sad.
plague, the plague came over Montreal.
And Chris, I'm actually curious. You mentioned top two most regrettable moments in Montreal. What's the other?
Oh, you know, in modern
Bergevin.
day, let's say modern day. I'm not even going to say Bergevin. I think it was the complete. I'm going to span it over a
Respect.
period rather than one. No, I mean, oh fuck. That's
Respect.
close. That's close. That's close. That's maybe number three right there. But I'm gonna say the mismanagement of Koivu, Kovalev,
Yeah.
Komisarek, all of those. I've said it
All the
in
Ks.
several episodes, but that was the other chance that the Canadians had to really propel themselves, and like they were kind of in the position that we're in now, where okay, we have these all stars, and they were all-star players. We could have traded them away. We could have got the moon and the stars for them. We could have rebuilt the Montreal Canadiens as of 2010. Yes, okay, Mike Camilleri, Giunta, Gomez. Gomez trade was an atrocity. So
One
that's why I'm
goal.
seeing the whole period.
One
But that
goal.
whole mismanagement period of the transition of players
Awful.
and the new team that followed, that is arguably, those are the two worst decisions in Montreal Canadiens modern day history with all, let's say 30 teams, not 32 teams.
You know what, Chris? I didn't even think you were going that route, and that just brings back horrible, horrible memories. Really, horrible
Of
memories.
course.
So
For a
But
this is my
Koivu
yeah,
fan.
opinion.
it's a.
It's true.
You know what? With Patrick Roy, maybe we could have won another cup, honestly. But it really, I don't think it was meant to be. The only good that came out of it, Zook and Adrian, maybe you'll know more. My rivalry with Max, so that's the only good thing that came out of it. Really, good times making fun of him when he
Oh
started
my
when he
god.
started to go downhill and you start to get old. Patrick Roy, good
The
memories I had.
the
Laughing about it
redness in Max's face. The
all the time.
redness. Oh,
All
how
the
red
time.
does he get?
He's
Used
a
to lose
Montreal
it.
fan. He's a Montreal fan. I don't care
He's
what
a,
anyone says. He is
he's
a
a
Montreal
closeted
fan.
Hab fan. Yes.
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 Yeah, he is.
See that
Yeah.
closet in the back of Adri's room there? See with the Habs fan?
That's him.
With the Habs?
Well,
He's in there
Chris,
somewhere.
Chris, you know our old friend
All the
Massimo,
booze is in there.
Patrick Roy fan. Telling you, this guy's a closet Montreal fan. We known him all throughout high school. This guy was the biggest Roy fan. He
Elementary.
loved Avalanche because of Roy, and he always supported Avalanche. But you can just tell he wouldn't show it his face. But if you knew him, you could tell him he was really a Hab fan. He just put on a
Okay.
face for Colorado, but really was a Hab fan.
Just a piss off joke.
Pretty much.
There's, you know, fan of individual players, no problem. Sure, like, look, I have one of my best friends, Raf. He loved Datsuk, and he fell in love with Datsuk's play in Detroit. And funny enough, look, as he got older, he came back on board with the Habs
But
fans. So